This is part 3 in lesson 95. We have been focusing on our past participles, understanding our principal parts. We haven't tackled the words let and leave yet. And so that is a confusable word. So we're going to go over and we're going to talk about, we have let is our simple present and let is our simple past. And let is our past participle that needs to be with an auxiliary verb. Let is easy. Now leave, and it is a transitive verb. But left, on the other hand, is leave. And do you guys know what the other ones are?
Left.
Left. And left. This is what?
Present.
Present, simple past, and past participle. These are irregular verbs. The simple past and the past participle are the same. So, but you need to understand how that works. So if I said, Lily left or leave me to go downstairs?
Left.
She left me. Because what does leave mean? It means depart. Okay? Or it can mean remain or allow, but depending on how you put it in a sentence. I left or let Lily on my lap. Let. Because you're allowing her to do that. So right here, what tense is this in?
Left.
It's in the simple tense. There's not an auxiliary verb. What tense is this in?
Simple.
It is in, now this one could be either in the simple present or the simple past. Doesn't have an auxiliary verb. So that one, it's either or. Let means allow or free, and leave means remain, allow, or depart. So you need to make sure that you are understanding how to use these words in a sentence properly. So I left or let them pass. Let. That means you're allowing them to pass. You're allowing them to pass. Okay, we left or let him pray. Let. You're allowing him to pray. Left or let the room to clean. So this is being assumed. You left or let the room to clean. Left. You left the room. So that means you're departing.
So to me it looks like that leave is also transitive.
Yes, leave is transitive. Yep. Because here's your direct object. Here's your direct object, direct object. Direct object, direct object. Both are transitive verbs. They will take the direct object. So you could say, you left the room to clean. To go clean somewhere else. You can add on to that. I just made really short sentences. Leave or let the package.
Leave.
Right. Leave the package. That means it's remaining. Okay? You're leaving it there. And it's in the simple present tense. Now this is in the what? Simple past. Mm-hmm. And this is in, what is this in?
Either the present
or the past. This could be in the simple present or the past. This is simple present or the past. Either one works with that. We're going to talk about these ones that we worked on, lay and rose and risen. Those are confusables. So let's just tackle that again. Now remember, lie. What are all the words for lie? Lie, lay, yeah, and laying. Okay? So lie, lay, and laying. Now remember, this is an intransitive verb. Or we could do lay. It's the same as set. Lay what?
Lay and laid.
Lay, laid, and laid. Lay, laid, and laid. Those are how you should make sure that you're doing this right. So, will you lay or lie the mail on the counter? Which one are we going to do?
Lay.
we are going to do lay. It takes the direct object. That means we're using this lay, not this lay, because this lay does not take a direct object. So Paul, this one's yours. She has lain or laid the computer on the desk.
Laid.
Laid. Because this is a direct object.
And also lain makes no sense.
She has lain the computer. But people, laid and lain are so close together that so many people get this mixed up. Has lain, so you're using it properly right here if you use with the has and lain. But because this has a direct object and you're actually setting something down, remember, if you can set it down, if you're setting something down, then you know you need to be using this, right? Mm-hmm. If you are actually, if it's in a...
If you're doing the action.
Yeah, if you're doing the action and it's a direction, then you know you need to be doing here. But this one has a direct object. You are putting something down. You're putting the computer down, so you know you have to use laid. So the steam rose or raised while I took a shower. Okay, so we have rise, rose, and risen.
I think it's...
And what would this...
Raise.
Raise.
Rise. Rise.
No,
not
raised.
Raised. Raised.
And raised.
Which one's transitive?
Which one's transitive? Raised, because see, like right here, this needs help. This one doesn't know help.
Okay, so and then it's the steam rose.
Yes, very good. So when you can see that, no help, no direct object, it is rose. The steam does not need help to rise, right? It does not need help. So we are using the past tense right here. So it's in the simple past, no direct object. Simple past, no direct object. Lisa and Richard have risen or raised 5 boys.
Risen. No raised.
Look.
Has risen.
But people, people get this so confused. Richard and Lisa have risen 5 boys. See, this risen and rose, they go together. But that is incorrect. Look, we have a direct object.
Let's say it the other way.
We have a direct object, we know it's raised. Do 5 boys need help to be raised? Do 5 boys need help to be raised? Yes, they need help. They cannot be raised on their own. So that takes the direct object. Risen does not need help. So that means boys need help. So you know that it needs to be raised. This is really fun, so I really want you to pay attention to this.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, adjectives, this is where people get so confused. What's a participle? Well, adjectives can be your past participle or your present participle. Adjectives. Participle for Latin means to share in. So you are sharing your participles with verbs, adjectives and verbs. They are both called participles. If you're going to use them as an adjective, it's called a participle. If you're going to use it with the past, you use an ed, or you use what? The irregulars, right? Or if you're going to use the present, what are you going to use? Your ings.
Yeah.
The present participles are your ings. You do not have irregulars with those. Now, Latin, it means to share in. So look, this is how you would use this as an adjective. These are participles. They're called adjectives. Okay, but they're participles. Now, smoked fish. See how this participle, that's an adjective that is describing this fish. Used book. This is a participle describing the book. Your present participles, a giving God. This right here, is your present participle describing God. This is an adjective. Growing garden. Growing is an adjective. It's your participle that's describing the garden. So your past participle and your present participle, they can be verbs and they can be adjectives if you're going to say that they are a participle. Now this is really fun, you guys. Fantastic. Now participles, we're going to focus on the word protected. That's the participle that we're going to use. We're going to stay in the perfect tense. When you say you're going to be in the perfect tense, a lot of people say, well, that is, when you're going into perfect, that is your passive tense. But that's not completely correct. It is partly correct. So look what here. Were protected. Look, you're going to be in the passive voice. Was protected. So we're going to talk about it being in passive voice, perfect present tense. Do you see that, Paul? Mm-hmm. Do you see that? Do I need to say it again?
Yeah.
You are going to be in the passive voice. Was and were puts you in the passive. So now look, if we have in this part, Paul, we have were protected. It's the passive voice. Was and were puts you in the passive voice, even though we are using our past participle here. Our past participle using was and were puts us in the passive voice. Has protected, had protected, have protected. This is the perfect past tense. Guess what that does? That puts you in the active voice. Isn't that fun though? That is so fun because so many people, they say, I want to write more in the active voice, but they don't know how. But so if you can understand your perfect tenses, the green are going to be active and the blue are going to be passive. Richard has protected the people from getting hurt. Now remember the difference between active and passive. Active means that the person, the subject, is actually doing the action. And if you want it in the passive voice, that means the subject is receiving the act. We have has protected, had protected, have protected. This is going to put us in the perfect present and the past. That puts us in active voice. So if you're understanding the perfect present and the past, that is going to put you in active voice. So if you're struggling on understanding how to put something in passive voice, active voice goes with the perfect present or past. Passive voice, you're using your was and were with your past participle. And that puts you in the passive voice. Okay? So now let's look at this. Richard has protected the people from getting hurt. Look, active voice, this puts us in the perfect present tense. So it's active voice. The student was protected by Richard. Look, passive voice because the student is not doing the protecting. The student is receiving the protecting. So because we used was with our past participle, now that has put us in passive. The police had protected the referees after the game. Look, active voice because we are putting it in the perfect past. Perfect past. Now look at this. The players were protected during the game. Look, passive. We're using were. This puts us in the past, perfect past, passive. So if we're going to use was or were with our past participle, make sure you're understanding if you want it to be passive. If you want the players to receive the protecting, then you would do that. But let's see, what if we did this? The players had protected during the game. You'd have to change a little more up there. The players had protected who? The police during the game? That wouldn't even make sense. So you need to make sure you're putting the correct auxiliary verb there and it's saying what you want it to be saying. He has clearly protected the small dog. We're thinking about Lily right now, right? He has clearly protected the small dog. It's active. So see, look, we are in our perfect present tense. What if I said they? What if I said I? Then what would we have? Have. I have clearly protected the small dog. So either way, using has, had, or have, it keeps you in the active voice. It keeps you in the active voice. If you're going to keep it in the perfect present or the past, it keeps you in active. Let's change this back to he has. He is in third person. Look at that. Third person takes the has. First person takes the have. I have clearly protected the small dog. It's active. Who is doing the protecting? The subject is doing the protecting. Who right here is doing the protecting? No. Somebody else, but the players are receiving the protecting. Right? Who is doing the protecting here?
The police.
The police. They are the ones protecting. But so that makes this active. But here, who is?
Richard.
Richard is doing the protecting, right? So that means the student is receiving it. That means it's passive. Richard has protected the people from getting hurt. Right here, look, it's active voice. We put it in the perfect present or the past. So this is in the perfect present. Who is doing the protecting?
Richard.
Richard is. So that means Richard's doing it. So that means it's active. He's the one protecting. The subject is protecting. So if the subject is receiving, you know it's in passive. If the subject is doing the action, then you know it's active. But what helps you know that? Your tenses do. Your perfect past, perfect present and past tells you that it's active. I hope that was super helpful. We'll see you in the next lesson.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next lesson.
Okay, do that again.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next lesson.